We fixin' to make this town real smoking.
What made me a fan of Invincible when I first watched it is that it did not cease to blow my mind. You watch a lot of shows and they all play it safe, but Invincible, right out of the gate, episode 1, season 1, they turned the tables. They introduced this like generic Justice League type character, Omni Man's like a Superman type character, but then by the end of it, it's chaos. You have this huge murder mystery unraveling. You're wondering how Mark is going to react to it, how his mom is going to react to it. And then they start to introduce all these different type of characters and villains, the Mauler twins. Right out of the gate, the show just did not hesitate to hit you and hit you hard. And that is something that I was fearing that they could lose as the seasons progress because, something that Invincible was compared a lot to was The Boys. The Boys season 1 was crazy, bro. Homelander, translucent, his whole arc. It was incredible what they did with season 1 Boys, but as you saw with the progression of that show, they didn't have anything that kind of toppled that. Characters made it out of situations when they were supposed to die. You saw that they were very unwilling to let characters be killed. It was just so convoluted. But with Invincible, they're still holding true to what they showed in the first episode. Surprises, wow factors. There's like no lost time in between episodes. Season 1, the whole reveal of Omni-Man being evil and how Mark is going to react to that was legendary. In season 2, they kind of had him grappling with that pains, but then they also had like this side story of him with Amber and whatnot. I think me, as well as everyone watching this video, is happy that that did not pan out because that was a real drag on the story. It just pulled you out of the engagement. The one thing that I did like about that was the one instance when the Viltrumite showed up and was like threatening Mark by killing her, and he was like, "You're gonna talk to me or else I'm gonna kill her and everyone here." And that was the one moment when like the whole relationship felt like worth. It felt like it led up to something. Season 2 definitely had a lot of great moments. You could talk about Alan the alien, the Viltrumites getting deeper into their lore, seeing more of them, and then you have the introduction of Mark's little brother, Oliver. Once again, when you talk about like just being so confused, but in a good way, it's like when you're watching a show and you're like confused, you're like, wait, what are they doing? What's gonna happen? How is this gonna pan out? That's how I was feeling when they introduced Oliver. I was like, there's no way this kid is gonna survive. But I was like, wait, they're not gonna kill the kid. Shows don't do that, right? So I was like, how is this gonna pan out? He's a baby, but then once I put the pieces together that he ages faster than most, like everyone else, and he's probably gonna catch up real quick. And then during season 2, they show you that the guy goes from like being a little toddler to like running around like playing like a little kid. It's like, oh, he's growing fast. In season 2, he really didn't grow up enough to affect the plot too much. He was more so used as this device to like affect Mark's motions. Engstrom did that perfectly. He went to other realities to hear how Mark was captured and taken down, and one of the Marks told him like, they basically wore me out, right? They can't beat me one-on-one, but they can play the long game, not let me sleep, not let me eat, wear down my mental. And that's what Engstrom did. So Oliver's role in all of that was really just like a plot device to like wear Mark down. He really didn't like have a defined character yet, right? So when season 3 gets here and they drop a trailer on us and I see that the little baby is now a little kid and he has his powers, I'm like, oh my God, what are they gonna do? Because I always get so hesitant because shows are so trash nowadays, bro. They be so unwilling to give you what you want, bro. I want to see chaos. I want to see destruction. And Invincible has delivered on that. But with the introduction of Oliver, I'm like, what are they going to do here? With Mark, another thing that really brought me into the show is like when he was going through the same phase of like, oh, I want to be a superhero and whatnot. It threw him in to the gutter. He went through fire and fury to get to where he's at now. And I was like, are they going to do this again with Oliver? And they do a little twist on it, right? So Oliver is gaining his powers and he's getting a lot stronger, a lot faster. You even had that moment where Mark was chasing him, and for a second he wasn't like, he couldn't keep up. And then he had to like really like lock in and like chase him down to catch him. You see that he's getting faster and stronger, and also his ability to fight is way better than Mark was at that time. And this is something that the show says as well, but you kind of shrug it off. They say that he's learning quicker than most children. He's advancing, but you don't really take it seriously until you see him in action. And what's the biggest surprise about this whole thing, you talk about episode 1, 2, and 3, is his perception on life. He is a little kid, but he has no problem with hurting the bad guys. When he was just talking in the house with everyone, you get a feeling of like he's just a little kid and he's not really serious, right? Like you kind of downplay him the whole episode. The whole time you're downplaying him and you're saying like he's not going to do this, he's not going to do that, he's going to get out there, he's going to get beat up, and that's if the show even puts him out there. But then when they put him out there, he's a savage. One, he doesn't listen. They always tell him what to do, and he does the opposite. Two, he really wants to fight. And then three, when he fights, he's fighting to kill. And he is not holding back. He kills the Mahler's twins. At this point in time, only episode 1, 2, and 3 is out, so I don't know if the Mahler twins return. But if they're gone permanently, and Oliver is the one who did that, that is crazy, because those were some of my favorite like villains throughout the show. They was just cool that they were like reoccurring. I do think it was kind of goofy like that, like they kept breaking out and they were just alive. Like this is a trope that you see with superhero shows as well, where like the villains do all of these horrible things and then they go in jail for like 2 days and they break out and repeat, right? So I do kind of get like Oliver, like I'm gonna take him out, but for a little kid to be like coming to that conclusion is insane. They're skipping so many steps in life, so many moments of growth, and they're just jumping to battle, to chaos, to killing. You also have this new divide being formed where Oliver is like basically like he's a monster. He's like a little demon. And Mark is realizing this. And like, how do you guide your little brother who's growing at a rapid pace back to the right track? If that doesn't pan out, what do you do then? Do you beef with your brother? Do you let your brother just like go out into the world and just continue to create this sort of like mentality of like kill whoever I view as bad? Because that's the thing. He's killing people he view as bad. What happens when he views someone good as bad? He kills them. So that's why it's interesting what this kid is doing, because he doesn't understand the true ramifications of it. And it will be interesting to see how Mark deals with it, because I do think that Mark is not capable of, coaching him. Mark has done a lot of growing, and this show kind of shows you that he still is like he still is trying to grow and he still haven't figured it all out. And then the mom, she isn't a superhero. She's not a Viltrumite. She can't do much but speak. Now, with Mark, that was enough. But with Oliver growing up so fast and his mind being so different, I don't think that's going to work. And then something else you have to think about is Omni-Man's introduction. Of course, he's in the Viltrumite prison in space, but I think he will break out of that. Like I said, only episode 1, 2, and 3 is out at the time of this recording, but there's no way he dies there. Him and Alan breaks out. And the question that I don't know is whether or not they go to Earth or they go to Alan's base. Depending on where they go could have a huge impact on the trajectory of the story. They go back to Earth and then they see Oliver, being crazy. Maybe Omni-Man could talk some sense into him and then everything works out. Then they could go to Alan's planet and basically like they're stronger, they're united, and the foundation is sturdy. But if they go to Alan's planet instead, Oliver continues to flourish this little demon mindset. Mark can't control it. Then you also have like the government, betraying them. You have the Guardians of the Galaxy breaking up. I really think even though Omni-Man was the one who destroyed Earth and put all of these crazy things out there, he's also like the only one who can fix it, because one, he has the power to, but then two, he has like the respect to, the fear to, like he's the one who could do it. So I am interested to see how he, returns, but also this is Invincible, and Invincible, it doesn't really like, I'm not saying it doesn't deliver good endings. It doesn't deliver like happy endings. Like the characters continue to suffer. And I feel like Omni-Man going straight home and fixing everything is way too simple. That's not how it's going to work. Season 3 currently is probably better than season 2, but I don't know if I would say better than season 1. Season 1 was revolutionary. Season 2 was great, but Amber really dragged it down. And also like some side elements of it really dragged it down as well. But the first 3 episodes feel like a season altogether. It's feel like I'm waiting for another cliffhanger. What they're delivering with Mark, Omni-Man, the Viltrumites, what they have going with the division between the Guardians of the Galaxy. That was really cool as well. So with Mark, he first turns on Cecil after he realizes that Cecil has all of these different things set up for if Mark becomes a problem. The biggest thing is that he puts a chip in his brain that makes a loud noise and disrupts his flight, his balance. It basically just immobilizes him and he could be killed. He's very vulnerable. That is a huge betrayal. I understand why Cecil did it, but a huge betrayal. But then too, Cecil has been recruiting this kind of like dark Avengers style team where all of these crazy things that Mark has been dealing with over the past seasons are now coming back to haunt him because Cecil is using these things as like a Hail Mary. The new Darkwing, those little zombie robot guys, and who knows what else he has planned. And this is a step too far for Mark. But what I like as well is how the show shows us that at one point in time, Cecil felt the same way that Mark did. And that is intentional. I wonder, I was thinking that they were gonna like bring that up and Cecil would explain to him how he felt like him and whatnot, but I guess things just got too crazy way too fast and he wasn't able to. But with that being planted in the show, I wonder if Mark will eventually see it from his perspective, not the whole chip in the head thing, but just the guys that he's recruiting, and if he'll be okay with it, especially when you think about the Viltrumites. Yes, you have Mark, you have Omni Man, you have Alan. Oliver probably grows up, be really strong if he turns out good. But then, like, you still have an empire of Viltrumites. How do you take them all down without getting crazy as well? And I know Omni-Man has the book, and I wonder how that book is going to turn out. The book of like all the different things that can potentially harm Viltrumites. But it's like the point is like I get that Cecil needs all the help he can get for stopping the Viltrumites and possibly even Mark and Omni-Man and Oliver if they go rogue. But at the same time, the way that it divides everyone, the Guardians break up. Now you have this smaller team. They're not as like together. Then also you have the A team doing their own thing. It's like the show has quickly devolved into chaos and I was not expecting that. No way, there's no filler, there's no wasted time. Everything that they show you is for a purpose, is for a reason, and all of these characters are moving in very interesting directions, and that's even before some of the heavy hitter shows up.